Hi everyone. I'm so happy that I'm able to come to you today and hopefully talk about something and just share some thoughts I have on kind of trying to be someone you're not, maybe a little bit, kind of more about trying to be perfect or trying to pretend to be perfect. I don't know. We'll see. I think a bug just ran into my window. I don't even know what that was, you guys. So let's talk a little bit about perfectionism and how it plays in our life today. Um, it is a horrible trap to get into that whole perfectionism mentality, especially when you're bombarded with images and ideas from other people who make you kind of feel like you're not good enough if you're not doing everything, and not only doing it, but doing everything perfectly. Like, that's kind of the way the world is today. Like, we're supposed to be able to do everything, and everything is supposed to be amazing. So I just really am sad that that is the world we live in today. I don't remember a time when it's so funny too, because I feel like people are always claiming to be so real, but then I'm like, but you're always also claiming that you're so perfect. You can't be both. So today, we can go on our phones. Let me just, for example, go on my phone today. You go on social media today and you see everyone's highlight reel, right? We rarely see the ugly behind the scenes truth of their lives. A lot of it is the highlight, the good, and all the perfect parts. And you might kind of start to feel bad about yourself, or even feel sad that you're missing out on the fun. I tend to feel sad that I'm missing out on all the fun with all my friends. But for my feed, I've gotten some bad news today. Ooh, somebody's ranting. I like when people rant. I think it's funny. Let's see. People making yummy food. My friends that are at the beach. Shopping sites. I hate these because then I see all these beautiful things that I'm like, ooh, that would look so good in my house. Because why? Because I need the perfect Better Homes and Gardens kind of house, because that's what we see in magazines and all over the place. I see babies. So lots of fun things on my Facebook today. I really am jealous of my friends who are back in my stomping grounds right now in North Carolina. I want to be there so bad. Then if I go to Instagram, there are gorgeous people. I'm not going to share that picture, but there are gorgeous people. Yummy food. More trips at fun places. People on TV. Gotta love my Southern Charm people. Just all kinds of sort of things all over that. So everything good is being posted. I don't see a lot of bad. My one bad news was not fun today, but you can follow celebrities and see behind the scenes of their lives. You can see where they live. And I watch a couple makeup people, and I look at their makeup rooms because recently they've done little tours of their makeup rooms, and their makeup area is bigger than my bathroom in my master bedroom, which is not small. And I'm like, jealous. But in reality, I do not need that big of a makeup room because that's not my job. That's their job. It's okay if they have that and I don't. But still, a little jealous, a little loving their system of organization they have there. But so you can really start feeling sad that you're missing out on the fun. You can start comparing your life to others. And that's where we can fall into that horrible trap of, fear of missing out and everything like that. So the problem is when you're looking at people's social media, you're not actually seeing the whole picture. You're seeing just this little bit of happy moments that they live, and their highlight reel isn't always real life. It's just moments that they want to share. It's the parts that are good and shiny and pretty and packaged and all nice. They're not sharing with you the times that they're bickering with their kids or their husbands or their wives. They're not sharing, the sadness all the time. They're not sharing depression, anxiety, phobias. they're not sharing the stuff that they don't want you to know about. They're sharing the good, happy, shiny parts. So keep that in mind. That's not actually the full picture. That's just a little clip of their lives. So no one is perfect, and we need to get that in our heads. Like, no one is perfect. Perfectionism is not what we're striving for in life. We want to be our best selves, but we do not want to strive at perfectionism. It will make us crazy. So the problem is that not only do we, like I've mentioned as I scroll through my feed, we're not only just looking at our friends, we're looking at celebrities now in a way that we never did before. And it can be really intimidating seeing everyone's successes and then maybe feeling like you're failing at life. And I am totally guilty of that. Not gonna lie. I struggle with that on a general everyday kind of thing. Even before Facebook, even before MySpace, I struggled with not feeling like I mattered that much. So I have to be really careful of what I allow to influence me and what I don't. Trying to live up to other people's expectations can cause a lot of problems, especially if those expectations are not your own expectations of how life should be. Like, why are you going to try to live a life that isn't the kind of life that you want to live? I don't understand that. I don't understand that at all. Unless, of course, you're trying to combat your own evils. Sorry, my back is hurting. If you're trying to combat your own evils and trying to be a good person, well, then do that. But but I'm saying, like, you shouldn't be trying to live someone else's life. You should be trying to live your own life. Like, let them live theirs and you live yours. Here, more than a lot of the places I've lived, I struggle a lot with fitting in as a mom to my kids. Not because I'm a bad mom, but because I'm not a super overbearing helicopter mom, maybe. Sorry. But I just sometimes feel like, you know, I'm expected to be a super mom. I'm supposed to be involved in every aspect of my kids' lives. I have 3 kids, all different ages, all different interests. Well, the 2 are in marching band together. But I'm expected to volunteer with their activities, volunteer at their school, know what they're doing at school at all given times of the year. I'm supposed to know all their teachers. I'm supposed to keep track of their grades. I am supposed to do so many things that I don't do. And I am so not super mom. I am the first to admit that I am horrible at keeping up with things. I am the worst teacher mom there is. Let me tell you a confession. I get really aggravated when parents don't check the folders at school when I'm at my work. I get so frustrated when the kids will bring home their folders or bring back their folders from home and nothing has been removed. And I'm like, you couldn't at least just take it out? Even if you don't look at it, just take it out of the folder so it looks like you looked at it. So that aggravates the devil out of me. But I'll be honest, all this past year, I forgot to do that for my own son half the time. It was awful. I would forget to sign the notebook I was supposed to sign. It was horrible. So I'm that mom. And worse, because I'm a teacher, I'm that mom. But I'm so not the mom who's like going to be like overly involved in every aspect of their lives. I do not keep my kids super, super busy. They're involved in what they're involved in, and I do not push them to do extra. I try to get them to do their absolute best in all that they do. Sorry, my dog needs to not right now. But I don't like push them to do like 15 different things all at one time a year. I think that's crazy. Which brings me to the next topic of this, perfectionism in this culture that we live in. When did it become our job to entertain our children so much? Like, why do our kids have to be so busy? I don't understand this way of life. And that's where I don't fit in too, because I think every single person I know, their kids are in 3 or 4 different things, usually all around the same time. I'm not that mom. I've never been that mom. I have a friend. Are you good? Are you comfortable? I have a friend who had her kids in traveling soccer, competitive soccer, and I think school soccer too. And I'm just like, why? Why is that necessary? Like, is that really what it takes to get your kid a scholarship these days? And if it is, then, well, I'm glad my kids get to go to school for free. But anyway, I just can't even imagine that life. I remember thinking I would be the most miserable person if that was my life, if I was driving my kids around that much. But it's not just even like their extra activities, it's just in general. I feel like today, parents are not satisfied with letting their kids be bored. And let me explain that this is a true story of what happened once. Okay, so we went to a museum once with our kids, and then we stopped to eat afterwards, and we were at a restaurant that for some reason had only 2 servers in the whole restaurant, and there was something going on where there was like kids, like a school or some kind of group of kids staying at a hotel nearby. So there were people, like parents and stuff, coming. And so there were only 2 servers in this whole restaurant at the time we were there. So let's just say we did not get seated right away. And we were hungry. We were borderline hangry people at this point. But we sat there and we were kind of like, we're tired and our feet hurt because we walked forever and ever and ever. And I remember thinking maybe we should just go and go through a drive-through somewhere. But I was like, no, we're fine. We'll be okay. So then we just kind of sat quietly and people watched and whatever. This family came in and they were meeting friends at this restaurant and they had little children. And I remember what it's like to have little children. Don't get me wrong. This isn't because my kids are grown that I don't understand, okay? I don't want you to think, oh, she has little kids, so she doesn't know. So she came in with her tiny child who was 3, I think. I would have guessed 3 years old, and didn't even give the child a second to sit down and just be quiet. Immediately handed that child something to do. And I'm like, okay. Now, you may be saying, so what? Who cares? Whatever. No, let me explain to you. There were a ton of us standing around waiting to be seated, and some older people, because this was early. This was not dinner time. And she took out a puzzle and placed it on the bench where people would have been able to sit, except for she ended up taking up a big section for this child to play with this puzzle. And what was funny was the kid didn't even really want to play the puzzle, but she was forcing him, these toys. And I'm like, maybe just sit down and hold your child. Maybe just sit down and hold your child. Now, why is that a thing? Why am I bringing this up? Because we live in a world where we can't even wait for food without children getting angry because they had to wait for 5 to 20 minutes quietly. That's ridiculous. I know that not every child can do that. I know there are certain children who have issues and whatnot. I get that. But some children have issues because we're so busy keeping them entertained all the time. Do you ever think about that? I really truly believe that some kids have problems because parents keep them too busy and never let them have any downtime. And then they freak out when they do have downtime. If you're constantly entertaining your child, what happens when you're not there to do it? Can they entertain themselves? There's a question for you in that little wonder. I really, truly believe that people should slow down and do nothing. And I really would love to see parents not entertain their children. Just not do it. Don't come up with things for them to do. You know what my son had to do? This is a legit thing that he had to do because we struggle with my youngest one having some behavior issues. And really, he cannot have a lot of screen time. If he has too much screen time, he is a devil child. It's horrible. And plus, I hate having them on stuff too often anyway. So one of the things that was always the fight was, well, I have nothing to do. I'm so bored. And I'm like, oh my gosh, we've spent so much money on toys for this child. It's ridiculous. And he has his own Xbox 360, I think, in his room. I can't even remember. Well, it's downstairs now, but it was in his room. So like he has all this stuff and a bike and a skateboard, and we live near a basketball court place that he can go play. All these things, right? So one of the things he had to do, this is legit thing that you have to do if your child struggles like that. Have your child sit down and list 10 things that they can do if they are bored. Okay, that's what they can do. Here's what I do. When my kids say they are bored when we are home, I say, oh, you're bored? You don't have anything to do? You have nothing to do? No, I'm bored. Okay, well, I have a dishwasher that needs unloaded, and I have some laundry that needs done, and oh, can you go scrub the toilets for me? Suddenly they're not bored anymore. So I don't entertain my kids, but I do give them chores if they say they're bored, because really, not happening. When I was little, I didn't have anyone entertain me at all. Like I had such fun just being a kid, and I can't imagine if my parents were making me, and even if I wanted to do it, because I know that kids like being involved in sports today, I get it, but I think being involved in too many sports can be a hindrance to their development, in my opinion. I just think that too much can be too much. But if my parents had pushed me to do things all the time, I would have missed out on the fun of riding my bike and hanging out with my friends and climbing trees and exploring the neighborhood farms and visiting people in the neighborhood. I used to love to go and visit different people who lived around where we lived. Oh my gosh, I can't even think. But no one entertained me. No one did. I had to figure out things to do for myself. I would read my grandma's National Geographics, and I would practice drawing things I saw in the pictures. I would read books. I would play with my toys. I would just sit and talk to people. There's so many things that you can find to do. It's amazing. And if you're not entertained by other people, you're forced to figure that out for yourself. And it's such a good skill to have, because now I can promise you that you could leave me at my house for a week with nothing but whatever's in my house, and I'm not going to get bored. I'm going to be fine. Even if you took the TV away, you could take the internet away, I would still be okay for a whole week with nothing to do. It would be amazing. I'd be okay. I'd probably nap a lot. I do that already. But honestly, no one entertained me. It was just such a fun time in my life because I just got to be a kid. And I think kids today are missing out on just being kids. And they get so worked up because they're bored when they have downtime. Well, if they had more of it, they wouldn't get bored during it. It's a whole rant in itself. But this is another type of perfectionism, in my opinion. I feel like because we're constantly trying to entertain our kids and push them and everything else, I kind of almost feel like we're pushing our own insecurities and our own fear of failures off on them. You have plenty of time to get their own issues when they're older. Let them be children while they can. Let them have fun while they can. So my house here now that we're all, my kids are kind of getting older. My house on summer break is really, really basic. We don't do anything. We really don't. We don't have plans for much of anything. We always go home for one weekend in the summer for a family reunion. And usually it's too short of a visit. And I get really frustrated that I don't get to visit even more people when I'm there because I miss everyone so much. But at least I get to see my family all in one spot. During the summer here, we watch movies and TV. We read books. We'll play games. We pick on each other. We chase each other. We scare each other. We hug each other. We laugh. We just are silly. The kids will fish. They'll ride their bike. They'll ride their skateboards. They'll go swimming at the pool. Sometimes they'll just walk around the neighborhood and be silly. We really, really don't do a lot. We might go window shopping. We maybe will go hang out with people. This year we're in a small group. So tonight we're going to go to our small group. It's really, really the most basic kind of life you've ever even heard of. And I'm sure that you're all just like, what? because so many people are so busy. And I know it's kind of different since I do have time off. Since I'm a teacher, I don't work in the summertime. I get that. But even when I did work during the summer, this was kind of the way things worked. Like, it was very basic. We have no vacations that we go on, no major events. We just really don't do anything. And I'm not going to say that I don't miss out on stuff. I do. I honestly do kind of get that like sad feeling that I'm missing out on some things that I would love to be able to do with my kids while they're still here. But I'm not so upset about it that I'm miserable. I'm okay with this being our life and it being kind of basic. I'm okay with that. When everyone else is rushing around and being so busy and wanting a break, I kind of just get to stay home and relax and recharge. So, I mean, I can't complain about that. I think it's a really important way to live, is to have that time to recharge. It's not my ideal life. I'm sure that I would like to be able to be one of those people who travel and do different things, but it's a good life, and I'm very blessed by the way that we live. So chasing after the perfect life only makes you feel worse about who you aren't, basically. And whenever I start comparing myself to others, or comparing my life to others, or our life here as a family to others, I will instantly regret it, because if you compare yourself, you're missing out on what's good about your own life. And when you're constantly chasing after success and perfectionism, you're missing out on so much, and you're wearing yourself out. And I don't know about you guys, but if I'm worn out, if I'm exhausted, and this is so true because this past year definitely taught me this, well, I kind of get grumpy, and nobody wants to be around me when I'm grumpy. You can ask my family and my friends. When I'm grumpy, well, it's better just to leave me alone. So instead of me striving to be someone else's ideal, if I just be the best person I can be, then I'm going to be a lot more happy. So I guess like part of what prompted this video was a bunch of books that I've been reading. A friend of mine wrote this, Angela Nuttle, Compose Your Soul, and it's how to turn your daily chaos into calm control. Highly recommend this for self-reflection. An Imperfect Woman, Letting Go of the Need to Have It All Together by Kim Hyland. I haven't read this one fully yet, but it's in the list. On my Kindle, I've got Embracing the Broken, Letting Go of Perfection, and Living by the Power of Christ's Grace by Tiffany Webster. And then I have Present Over Perfect, Leaving Behind Frantic for a Simpler, More Soulful Way of Living. And that one is by Shauna, Niequist. And I will link these below, or at least add them to the description, because they're all really good books. They all talk about just, in today's world, especially with all this around us all the time, and looking at all these beautiful people in their beautiful homes and living their best lives, it can be really, really overwhelming, and can really cause a lot of people to feel like they don't matter, or that they're not good enough. And I don't want people to feel like that. I don't think it's fair for you to feel that way because other people are living a certain kind of way. It's okay if you're not busy all the time. It's okay if you have the most simple life that there is. Would I like to go to more concerts? Sometimes, yeah. It'd be nice if they didn't always cost a fortune, right? Like Justin Timberlake is coming to Indianapolis, and I would love to see him, but I cannot afford his tickets. Sorry, JT, but not gonna happen. God, I would love to see him though. But it's okay if I don't go to concerts, like I'm perfectly okay with just listening to their music or watching a video on YouTube. Or does MTV play videos anymore? I'm aging myself. No, I don't think they do. But it's okay. It's okay if you can't do all the things that everyone else is doing. That's fine. It's okay. If you have the kind of lifestyle that I have, well, glad I'm not the only one. I'm glad I'm not the only one who just kind of has a basic life of hanging out at the house with the kids and finding ways to be entertained. we don't always spend every second together just because we're home for the summer. Like, they kind of do their own thing and I do my own thing, but we have fun and we are perfectly content. And my big kids go other places a lot, and I do sometimes wish they wouldn't leave so often. Already I'm like, don't leave. But we have a good life here, and I am far from that person who's striving to be perfect. I will admit my faults all the time, and my highlight reel does show some of the ugly and bad parts too. But for the most part, I mean, we are all going to always just want to share the best parts of our lives. But I think it's important to remember that's not the whole picture. So don't worry about being perfect. Just learn how to be yourself. And this became a little longer than I planned, but that's okay. I hope you all have a lovely, lovely day. I'm excited tonight. I get to spend time with some of my friends from church, so I'm going to kind of go and get ready for the rest of my day, but I will talk to you all again soon. God bless, and I hope you have been having a great summer so far.